Abraham, this is God. I want you to look up. No, look up. Look up at the stars. I want you to count how many stars there are.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 974, 972, 1,000,000.
Are you finished yet?
72,692,7. 4,976,004,791.
Stop counting! This is how many descendants you will have.
Hey Kids Church, it is so good to see you. Boy, oh boy, do we have a good Kids Church session lined up today. I hope that you're excited and ready to go. And we're starting a new series. Whoop, 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 whoop. We're going to be learning for the next 4 weeks all about the person of Abraham. We're going to be looking at the character of Abraham in the Bible. He's in the Old Testament, and we're going to look at some of the stories, some of the crazy things that happens with Abraham and how God uses him in amazing ways. I hope that you're excited. Are you excited? We're going to go straight into game time. Game time! Yes, please. I hope that you're ready. Get ready for this game. Here we go!
Let our praises remind all the darkness of how great and how mighty our God is. For the battle belongs to the Lord and no one else. We are standing in holy defiance. We're declaring aloud in the silence that the battle belongs to the Lord and no one else, no one else. We'll sing hallelujah for all hell to hear. Shout out Hosanna above every fear. Strongholds will crumble like castles of sand. We are marching on. We're marching on. We're marching on. We're marching on. Your unstoppable kingdom advances as we take back the ground from the darkness. The battle belongs to the Lord and no one else. You're the banner we raise in the chaos. No, the gates of hell won't stand against us. The battle belongs to the Lord and no one else, no one else. We'll sing hallelujah for all hell to hear. Shout out Hosanna above every fear. Strongholds will crumble like castles of sand. We are marching on. We're marching on. We're marching on. We're marching on. In the chaos, the crisis, the troubles, the trials, the shadows, the sorrows, the long nights, the hard fight. We are the prophets, the voice in the darkness, declaring the battle is yours. We'll sing hallelujah for all hell to hear. Shout out Hosanna above every fear. Strongholds will crumble like castles of sand. We are marching on. We're marching on. Sing hallelujah. Shout out Hosanna. Strongholds will crumble. We're marching on. We're marching on. We're marching on.
Awesome! It was so good learning about Jesus in our last series. We looked at all of the reasons why we love Jesus, why we're in relationship with Jesus, what it means to really know Jesus, okay? Knowing Jesus and how special that is. It's the best thing you'll ever know and learn. And that's what we were looking at in our last series. But we loved hearing it from you guys. We loved it that you were telling us who Jesus is to you. And we want more of that in this series. We're going to be looking at Abraham, okay? And his name wasn't actually always Abraham. God gave him that name. He gave him a new name. And there was meaning behind it. And we're going to learn about that in this week's episode. But before we get there, I want to set a challenge for you guys, okay? As you're listening to this, okay, we want you to send us your videos, okay, of what your name is and what your name means, okay? Maybe you don't know what your name means. There's actually a meaning behind your name, okay? And maybe it's a really special meaning. Maybe it's really special. So, what maybe you might need to do is you might need to ask your mom or your dad to help you to learn about what your name means, okay? Maybe you've got a brother or sister or somebody that can tell you what your name means, okay? Hopefully you know your name and you don't know what your name is. That would be kind of difficult, wouldn't it? But hopefully we're gonna get videos from you and we want to see your awesome faces telling us the meaning of your name. Are you up for it? Let's go! So, what was Abraham's name before God called him Abraham? Well, funny you should ask, because actually his name wasn't that far different. His name was Abram, which you're kind of going, didn't you just say that? No, it sounds the same, but it's actually spelt this way. Abram, okay? Which means exalted father. Pretty cool name. That was his first name. He was exalted father. And this is then his name that is changed by God to Abraham, okay? Which means father of many nations, which is even cooler than the name that he had before, because God is making a statement about his future. That's how special it is when God gives us new names. He speaks into our future. That's what God can do. And God's words never ever fall short. In fact, his promises are always yes and amen. They always come to pass. And so when we read about the person of Abraham and God gives him a name, he's giving him the statement of who he's becoming and who he's set out to be as the person and follower of God. How cool is that?
stories of the Bible. Abram to Abraham.
This is Abram, who will later be known as Abraham. When Abram was in the land called Canaan, God told him to look over the land as far as his eyes could see. God promised that the land would be blessed and that Abram would have many children. 25 years passed. Abram and Sarai were very old and still had no children. God appeared to Abram and said, "Don't be afraid. I'm your shield. A son is coming. Look at the heavens and count the stars. Someday you will have as many children as there are stars in the sky." Then God told Abram that his name would no longer be Abram, but it would be Abraham, which means father of many nations. God also told Abraham that Sarai's name would be changed to Sarah. God promised to bless Sarah and told Abraham that she would become pregnant and have a son. God made a covenant with Abraham that day. His covenant was a promise that Abraham would have many sons and they would be blessed.
Awesome! So, Abraham had a special friendship with God. A bit like the friendship that me and you have with Jesus. We learn about what it means to know Jesus and be in relationship with him and ultimately be in friendship with Jesus. Abraham in the Old Testament had this really cool friendship with God. And part of the friendship was there was this agreement that God had made to Abraham in calling him Abraham, that he was going to be father of many nations. Now, God made a special word with Abraham, and this word is called covenant. And you're kind of probably scratching your head going, covenant? What does that mean? Well, basically it means promise. A bit like we make pinky promises to one another, God made a pinky promise to Abraham. And he promised him that he was going to be a father of many. Now, how did he make that promise? Well, Abraham was getting a bit down. He was kind of a bit down in the dumps, and he was looking down at the floor, and he could probably see his big smelly toes. Couldn't see much else really. In fact, he could only see his own problems. And as he was moaning and groaning and grumbling, in his friendship with God, God asked him to look up. And as Abraham looked up, God showed him all of the stars in the sky. And God asked Abraham to count the stars in the sky. And God made a promise, a covenant, pinky promise with Abraham, that he was going to have that many descendants, which means that many children. How crazy is that? And looking at the person of Abraham, we can look at all the cool things that he did in the Bible, and we can see that God made really cool promises, pinky promises, covenant promises to Abraham. And we can be like, wow, I wish God made promises to me. Well, do you know what? God has made promises to you. He has promised you that he's never going to leave you, and he's never, ever going to forsake you. In fact, he makes a promise that he is going to be with you right to the very end of the age. God makes promises like his plan is to prosper you and not to harm you. Those are the promises that we read about in the Bible. Pretty cool promises. But here's the thing. Sometimes it can be hard to trust in God's promises. But there's this really special thing that we can hold on to today in Kids Church, okay? Get ready for it. God's promises are always yes and amen. You're probably scratching your head going, his promises are yes and amen. Basically, his promises never ever fall short. They always come true. When God speaks his promises, okay, they never ever don't come to pass. That means they're always going to happen. They're yes and amen. So you can trust. Maybe if you're feeling a little bit fearful, maybe you're a little bit scared, you can trust that God's promise to you to keep you safe is yes and amen. We're going to pray together, okay? And we're going to ask God to help us to trust in His promises. Okay? Say this special prayer after me. Are you ready? Here we go. God, I thank you. I thank you that you always, always, always keep your promises. Your promises to me are always, always, always yes and amen. Amen. Awesome! I hope that you have had an awesome time in Kids Church online today. We have loved this week's Kids Church episode, and I am so excited about next week, okay? Make sure that you send us your videos if you've got pranks, if you've got top tricks, and we want to hear about what your name means. We want to hear about what it means, not just what your name is, but what your name means, similar to like what we've been learning about together today. Send us your videos, please, please, please. We want to see you in Kids Church. Awesome. Have an awesome week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.